Okay, let's take just a second to clear out some stuff that we've got in here that's really not doing much for us. Um, I'm going to go ahead and pull out these console log, this middleware that we're actually not really doing anything with. And right now, we're only going to have this one. All our app does is come and it displays this. Now, you can imagine that saying, here's my response, and then your HTML code goes as a parameter to this function. That would get really inconvenient because you don't want to have to write your entire HTML page inside of a string like that. What we want to do is basically create a view and basically say, okay, load the view. For this to happen, we're going to do a few things. One is we're going to use a template templating engine called EJS. Basically, this templating engine, you know how when we had we were working in Laravel and our views were, view name .blade.php, and because it was using the Blade templating engine, well, EJS is a templating engine. If we're using EJS, few things you need to know. First of all your code that's using the EJS templating engine, we're going to name those files instead of, like hello.html, we're going to name them hello.ejs. So that's just one thing that you need to know. The other thing is that an EJS file basically allows us to put snippets inside of our HTML code. An EJS file is basically HTML, but with snippets of JavaScript inside of it. And again, we'll see that notation here shortly. All right, so we needed to make a few changes. First of all, we need to go ahead and create our hello.ejs file. So let's come up here, create a new file, hello.ejs. In VS Code, I can type HTML:5 and then press tab after it, and it'll actually kind of fill in with a nice little template here that's just, your basic standard get started with HTML5 code. So we've got that pasted in there. That'll be helpful. Right here, I'm just going to go ahead and add, not sure what I just did there. Okay. Here I'm going to go ahead and add an h1 tag first page, so that we'll have something that shows up on the page when we finally get this thing to work. If we're going to use EJS as our templating engine, we actually need to install it from the command line. So I'm going to come down here, cancel this job temporarily, and then I'm going to npm install EJS -- save. Now EJS we want in the production and development environment, so that's why I'm doing -- save instead of -- save dev. All right, we've got EJS template installed, so I'm going to go ahead and do a little bit of more work here. In our app.js, we need to tell Express that we're using EJS as our view engine. So I'm going to say app.set view engine in quotes, comma, EJS. And there are a variety of view engines you can use that are pretty good, and I fiddled around with several of them, but after all was said and done, I decided just to stick with EJS. I think it's got a less steep learning curve than some of the others. Okay, now I need to come in here, and I'm no longer going to say send and then some bare HTML. I'm going to use the render function, and basically in the render function I have to give it a view. So the name of my view is hello.ejs. And let's see how we did. So come back to our app. Oh, do I have it running? Oh, I didn't run it yet. Okay, npm start. Refresh. Failed to look up hello.ejs in the views directory. Oh, okay. By default, it assumes you're going to put all your views in a directory called views. This is actually, I think, what we want. So right here, I'm going to say new folder. I'm going to create a new folder of views. We wanted to organize it this way anyway. I'm going to move hello.js into views, and it's not recognizing the change that I made, so I'm just going to have to cancel it and restart. And then I will refresh. There it is, first page. Okay, so now we're actually rendering a view with an EJS template. I think the next thing we want to do is to get some basic routing stuff done. You know, we could put all routing commands here, but again, this is going to get really big, and we've already learned from using Laravel framework. You know, Laravel had routes folder, it had a controllers folder, it had a views folder, and so on. We're going to kind of follow that same pattern. So I'm going to come back down here. I'm just clicking on app, so I'm not inside another directory. I'm going to create a subdirectory called routes. Inside routes, I'm going to add a new file, and I'm going to call it main.js. This is our main routes. You know, you'll want to probably pick a better name when you're doing this for other stuff. All right, so in main.js, few things that we have to do. First of all, we're in a new file, so we still need some of the functionality provided by the Express framework. So we need to tell them, yes, we want to use Express. Secondly, we're going to declare a variable called router that's going to basically be initialized using Express has a special function called router with a capital R. We need to assign that. And then we define our routes like this. We say router dot get, and again I can use dot post, dot delete, dot put, but in this case this is a get request, so we're going to say the home or the root directory. This is going to be our main page, and then we have to pass it a function that takes the request, response, and next parameters. Okay, so there's my function. Basically all I'm going to do is say response dot render, and I'm going to do hello. I can say hello.ejs like I did before, but I can also just say hello since I'm using EJS. It's going to automatically assume an extension of EJS. I just saved and it reloaded, so all that appears to be fine. Let's go back and look at app.js. So in app.js, I no longer am going to render the page here. Instead, I'm going to load my routes. To get the routes loaded, let me see where I am on the page. Okay, I'm going to just declare, I'm going to call the variable main routes, and we're going to say require, and from where app.js is, it's the current folder, so it's /. Routes is the name of the directory where I keep all my route files, and then main is, and I could say main.js, but again it will assume an extension of JS. Main.js is the routes file that I want to use. To actually apply the routes that are in there, I say app.use main routes. And I think I'm realizing that I forgot to do one step in our main routes. So let's go back there and get that one other thing fixed. So here's the routes main.js. All this stuff I had in there I think is correct. I need to say what I'm exporting from this file. There's a couple different ways to do that. The way we're going to do it is here at the end we're going to say module.exports equals router. So this router object that we created and that we defined some stuff for, that's what we're going to export from this file. I think without that we were going to run into some trouble. Okay, it's not crashing when we save it, so let's come here and refresh. Oh, still says first page. That's a good sign. That means it's now using our new routes and everything is working great. Let's go ahead and take a break.